Yeah. So today we are going to learn about what I said, HTTP session state. Session state. That part we'll discuss. And one more point is, a session also will have an object. Session is nothing but what? Object. Session is an object, you can say. What it contains is key value pair. What it contains? Same like cookies. Cookie also contains key value pair. Session object also contains key value pairs. But where does it create? It is created on server. HTTP cookie was created on client machine. That makes a difference. Session and cookies are not same. Cookies are created where? On client machine. Where on client machine? Either in browser or in file. Cookie file. Either it is created in browser or it is created in what I'm saying? File. Any one place it is created. Okay. Another important thing is, and second point is, object, whatever session object when it is created, that object will be working for whether it is for one request or it is for multiple requests. Where it is created first? On server machine. Okay, on server machine. And what about data? What type of data it will store? Here in session object, you can store any type data. It's not like cookies. Cookies always stores key value pair only in the form of string. String. What about this one? Here it is going to store data with something called what? Any type data. And two specialities. Session object can store any type data plus can store any amount of data. Two specialities. Any amount of data. It means there is no limit, like cookies has 50, 20 based on the version of the browser. Older versions we had 20. If browser is more than 7.0 version, then we can have up to 50. And even for persistent cookie, when file is created, that also has a limit of only 4 KB. For session object, no such what do you call limits. You can have unlimited number of key value pairs. So how do you describe this? Two specialities with two different terms you should highlight. What? Can store any type data and store any amount of data. And one more speciality, whenever a session is created, a unique ID is assigned to that session. Unique ID is assigned to the session. It means what? Session is server object, I said, na? That will contain key value pair, I said. So it is created on server. So for that particular object, a unique ID is generated, and that unique ID will be returned to client in the form of non-persistent cookie. In the form of what I said? Non-persistent cookie. Now, acha, do you remember this, right? Non-persistent cookie, what is the time limit of it? As simple. Till that session is working, till that browser is working, you have that cookie available. Close the browser, cookies are gone. And what about persistent cookie? Till that file is available, cookies are available. File is deleted, persistent cookie file is deleted, your data is gone. And remember, session object time period is 20 minutes. Time period of session object is what? 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And after 20 minutes, session object which is created at server automatically gets destroyed. Imagine one other situation also. For example, for 20 minutes is the time limit. That is different. You can increase, decrease. That is different. I'm talking about default time. Please do remember that point, please. Default time. My total focus is on default time, and default time is how much you said? How much you said? 20 minutes. Can I change to 10 minutes? Answer is yes. Can I change to 50 minutes? Answer is yes. Yes, you can do that. But for that, you have to do some settings. How and all, I'll show you practically. And another important thing, I hope you might have even got very clear picture in comparison of cookies and session object. Two different things. Comparatively, you might have noticed how they are different. How are they going to work for us? Okay, one more thing. And one more thing that you find is another logical query here is, for example, you created one session object at about here time I'm saying 6:11. 6:11. What did you create? Session. Session object you created at 6:11, and from there 20 minutes calculated. Till the 20 minutes data will be available in session object. Okay, listen carefully. 20 minutes data is available in what? Session object. Okay. Now another interesting story is another interesting story is, say for example 11 11 21 31 41 means 11 6:41 session object will expire. 20 minutes I'm saying, correct only. 11 plus 10 21. Yeah, 21 31 41. So assume at 11 6 6:41 my session will expire. But now interesting thing is, for example, at about 6, say for example 39, you made one more request. It was more 2 minutes to expire. It was about to expire, 2 minutes to expire. At 6:39, you made second request. You made second request. So remember what ASP.NET will do here is, now it will calculate next 20 minutes. It doesn't expire your session at 6:41. From 6:39, it will calculate again next 20 minutes. Do you understand? That is the reason this is what you call as sliding expiration. As every session will expire after 20 minutes. Again, if a request is made, it will next expire after 20 minutes. What is this process called? Sliding expiration. Okay, and not necessary that you should only depend on 20 minutes. As I already said, the time can be changed from 20 to 40, or the time can be changed from 20 to 10 minutes also. If you don't want to depend on time, then there is a facility where you can abandon the session. You can programmatically terminate the session. You can destroy the session by writing a program. How to do this? That is what we are going to learn today. That is what we are going to learn today. How to work with the session management, total architecture. I'll explain whatever the comparative points I have used or I have compared with HTTP cookie. HTTP cookie. Okay. So for your instant reference, what I do so that you people can have an easy understanding as well. HTTP, I'm talking about cookie, and on other end, I'm talking about HTTP session. First, what I said, only string type data stores only string type data. Here stores any type data. This is client object. This is server object. Then third, what is it? Stores limited data. Stores any amount of data. Limited data, any amount of data. And what else I said here is what more points I said? Here. Stores. Both will store data for temporary only. There is no time limit now. There is no time limit. So better I say no time limit. Here, yes. Time limit we have here. That's it. These are the differences that we notice between HTTP cookie and HTTP session object. Okay. Now, let's come up with the architecture of how a session management we have. Okay. Working of session management. Working process of session management. Save this. D drive ASP. Here I'll write architecture session MGMT management. Okay. Now, first we'll talk about two clients. First scenario. Okay. This is client 1. Client 2. Client 1. Client 2. Client 2. Now, these are your web pages. This is one page. Page 1.aspx. This one. Page 1.aspx. And this is page 2.aspx. 2 pages we have. Page 1.aspx. Page 2.aspx. Page 2.aspx. And this is your server. This one. This is web server. In our example, IIS Express. Okay. This part, let me remove. Yes. Web server, IIS Express. IIS Express. Okay. Now, here I have ASP dot ASP dot ASP dot. Okay, engine you can say, application you can say, software you can say. There are multiple points here. Now, what does it mean? This is making a request from client 1 through page1.aspx. We create key value pairs here. Then that will be returned back again. And we may transfer the control again to where no page 2 or vice versa from page 2 to page 1. Okay, so let's start the first client 1. I mean to say client 1 making a request. It goes to ASP.NET. Yes. Then from there, where does it go? It will go to page1.aspx. Okay. So it goes to page1.aspx. Then where does it go? It will go to server. Yes, it will go to server. In server, what will happen? What will happen in server? Yes. Now let me highlight. Server will have now session object. session object will be created now. Server will have what? What server will have? Session object. Yes. Let me point specify that this is session. What it contains? Key value pair. Yes, that it contains. Okay. Session object is created. Session object is created. That session object will contain what? Key value pair it will contain. Yes. Here it will contain key value pair. After that, what will happen? Yes. Remember, for this session, it will create. For this session, it will create. What it will create, I'll write here. Session ID is created for this session. Okay, let me pinpoint here. For this session, session ID is created. Now, what will happen next? This session ID, whatever it generates, it will render to browser. So that why it will render to browser? So that it can communicate with that object using this session ID. When you make a second request, this all process happening only for first request. Please understand clearly. That is the reason what is happening. Okay, I'll write here. Session ID is created and what is happening? Rendered. to browser as non-persistent. As what? Non-persistent cookie. Yes. As a non-persistent cookie, the output is rendered to browser. Rendered to browser. That is what happens. Right? I'll just mark steps here. Mark steps here so that you can understand clearly what is. Because this is only for one request. Now, second time when you go, let's see what will happen. Session ID is generated. What is generated? Session ID. And then what will happen? It returns that session ID. It returns what? Session ID. To where? Browser. As what? Non-persistent cookie. Yes. This is for first request. Okay. As I said, no, I'll keep numbers so that my continuation picture will not confuse you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now let's see. Keeping these numbers. Connection first. This step. Going to ASP.dot. Then going to page1.aspx. Goes to where? Page 2, page1.aspx. From there it will go to browser. Then it will go to server. Session object is created. After creating session object, that session ID will be returned. Session ID will be returned to client. Better I'll keep here. Fine. Session ID will be returned to where? Now next story. What will happen? Next part. What will happen? Okay. Continuation of this part is now we are going to second page. Yes. Same application. So it means this one I'm saying, client one only. Client one is going to where? Second page. So when he goes to second page, what will be added in the second page? Now the control will go to second page along with session ID. Along with what? Session ID. Because that is non-persistent now. So along with this session ID, it will go to now that respective session ID. Yes. Session ID. Acha, after going there, what will happen? Yes. Now through this session ID, it will go to session object. And when it goes to session object, there you have your data with the key value pair. How does it go? With the key value pair. Yes. Continuation. Steps are right. 5. Sixth step. This is sixth step. Then it goes where? Seventh step. Session ID. Asha, how does it go? You have to write here. Session ID. Session ID. Along with the session ID, it will go. Yes. Here. Seventh. It will go with the session ID. Then where does it go? 7. 7. Yes. After going to session ID, that session ID will take you to session object. From there, your data is retrieved. That is what happens with key value pair. Now reverse. Now second part. Now what we do? Now what I do? I'll select the color. We'll change the color. Okay. Now second client. Client 2 process starts. Okay. Client 2. Client 2. Client 2 will make a request to again ASP.NET. That was page 1 to page 2. Please don't forget. Page 1 data was created through page 1 and page 2 accessed it. Now reverse. Now who will create? Page 2 will create, page 1 will access. That is what the point is. Okay. Now ASP.NET will communicate with page2.aspx. Now, then this will go to, as usual, server. Okay. It will go to server. And in server, now what happens is it will create session object. Session. And this session will contain key value pair. Yes, key value pair. Key value pair. What exactly this is? Session. Second object you can say. Second server object. Created for whom? Client 2. Yes, session. For this session, what it generates. Okay, before it, let me point here. Now from here, it will create session object. And after creating session object, now it is going to create session ID. Okay, that is next part. Session ID. Now this is created for whom? This is created for this session. And this session ID, it will return to browser. Yes. One process over. One process. Okay, let's keep all with arrow marks. This will make a request. Client 2 makes a request. Then it will go to page 2. Page 2. And then where does it go? It will go to server. And from there it will create session object. Then for that session object, it will create session ID. It will create what? Session ID. And that session ID session ID. Now keep numbers for that. After that, 7th step. Now 8th step. 8th. Going to again ASP.NET. From there, it goes to page2.aspx. From there, it will go to server. And from there, it will create session object, new object. Then it will return that object back to client. Same 12. And I'll write same message here also. Rendered to browser as non-persistent cookie. As non-persistent cookie. Yes. Now this is created. Now accessing is there. Accessing. So that accessing part we will start now. Now it will go. Again ASP.NET will take to page 1. Yes. Yes, it goes to page 1. Then after going to page 1, then this along with session ID. How does it go? Along with the session ID. Okay, I'll show you. So along with, so it will straight away comes to this session ID. This session ID. And through this session ID, it will communicate with this session object. With this session object. Okay. Point all of them here. It goes along with what? Session ID. Yes. Session ID. And then from there it will go to session object. There you have key value pair available. And that key value pair it will return to browser. This is the working. Okay, I'll keep numbers. 10 over, to how many over? 11, 12, 13 this is. 14. Okay. Now 13. Making a request. 14. Communicating with session ID. Yeah, here I'll keep that number 14. Thus, this is the working process of session management. go through. You still have anything to ask me, you can ask. Either use chat panel or you can ask a question. Any queries you have, you can ask. Yeah. Go through the picture once. Then I'll show you one basic scenario. To the time limit creation, how to change the time limit from 20 minutes to 30 minutes at the config file level, or it is through coding parts. Those all things we will use. We will do all the things. Okay, this is the process. Let's see now one basic example now of how to implement this. Basic. I'm not going to show you page to page connectivity. That next class I will cover. We just the basic scenario how session object is created. Okay. Open Visual Studio. File. New. Website. Website 24. Okay. Done. Then website. Add new item. Web form default.asp. Now place a label here. Count. ASP colon label. Run at server. ID equal to LBL SCSSIO session. Some ID. close. Okay, now straight away go to page load event F7. Now I create session object. Session. This is my object. It is not yet available. Obviously, it will be null. So it's true. Now in that object, you can initiate your value. Session count set to 0. This is happening. What? Boxing. Then increment session count is equal to typecast session of count plus 1. This is unboxing. Okay, double quotes here. We are missing double quotes. Count value. Then assign this value. LBL session dot text equal to session of count dot to string. Yes. Session of count dot to string. Save this. Now run the code. So I'll copy this. I'll open another internet explorer. Let's see this output first. So that I just want to highlight. Okay, we'll copy this. Okay, count 1, refresh 2, 3, 4. Okay, copy this. Open new browser instance. New window. Yeah. Here in this window, I'll paste that address. What is happening? What is happening? Two windows we have. This is 6 value. This is 5. Okay. You want to open separate also, no problem. Internet Explorer. Okay. Here I'll open separately. One more window I'll open. Here I'll paste that address. Enter. What is happening? Count started from 1. This was I opened a window from another window. A window from another window. So I got my value continued as 6. But when I opened a new Internet Explorer window, you find that count has started from 1. It means session ID for every client will be separate. Session ID. Even though I'm working with same browser instance, both are Internet Explorer. Instead of continuing the value, you can find that it started continuing from 1. Okay, go to previous one and just refresh the browser and see what happens here. Here, refresh. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17. Come back here, please. Refresh. 2, 3. It is coming from the beginning. If you want your session to close instantly, do one thing. Close this. I'll write here. Here I'll write. What I'll write? Here I'll write enable session state equal to 3 options we have. I'll just make this as false. Just to see an effect. What does it mean? You said enable session state false. Means you're not interested for session state now. Okay, then check. Execute the code. What's the message? Session state can only be used when enable session state is set to true. Which means once you make that session state as false, in that particular web page, session object cannot be created. Cannot be created. Okay. Let's write second option equal to read only. Okay. Let's start again. Execute it. False has not worked for us. 1. See, read only. Once you got over, it's not allowing us to make changes in that session object. That session object has become fixed, static because of read only. It can only read that session object, but whatever is there, it cannot update that session object. Default is true only. Whether you say enable session state equal to, whether you write true there or you remove this statement, by default enable session state is true. False, session object cannot be created, and if it is set to read only, it is created but will not allow you to make changes. Are you interested to see that session state default value also? Okay, but go for it. Response dot write session state plus session dot is read only. Confirmation, only confirmation, nothing else we are doing. Break line, semicolon. Okay. Currently, I have to make it. Okay, execute now. False, I should get now. False. Session state. We'll make read only. Okay, make it read only then. Enable session state equal to true. What's the value? False. Because what did you ask for? What did you ask for? There is no connectivity with this point at all. No connectivity. Because what did you ask for? You asked for whether the session object is read only or not. You didn't ask to check whether the session object value is what. You didn't ask for that. Makes lot of difference. Okay, now read only. It's not read only. You make it read only now. Enable session state equal to true. Sorry, equal to read only. Yes. Let's run again. True now. Yes, true. Refresh? No. Output remains same. Clear everything? Is everything clear? Fine. So this one part is over. Next class, I'll be showing you some methods in it, and then I'll show you one example where you can transfer the control from one page to another page. That part I'll discuss.